Hey everybody, I'm back again today with another development progress video. This will be video number 2, and today I want to go over two things that I've added since the last video. Would be a dialogue system and a quest system. And this will be great for making a narrative game because this will allow me to basically tell a story. Now, this should also be interesting because I just gave it the last half hour to build the lighting because I decided to turn the lighting quality up to production just to see how that would look. So let's go ahead and get started. And now we're back into the game, and you can already see probably why this lighting was so intense to calculate. I added a lot of grass to the floor. I think the aesthetic of it is amazing. Now, I've got some of it to clean up, obviously, over on the edges, but this is definitely a nice start to work with. So, just from taking this little swivel, you can probably see I kind of encapsulated this area inside these giant hills, so the player would stay in one area. And I was also able to reduce the map size significantly from what I had in the first video, because I just had a lot of extra space that I wasn't going to use. When I change levels, it'll be just a completely different map, so that won't even be an issue. So let's run around a little bit, give you an idea of what the level feels like at the moment. You can see this is the same as it was in the previous video, except now with the addition of some extra grass. But I've added some little stuff going on over here. We'll be there in a second. And I got a guy that's chilling over there, and we'll be to him in a second. But I also extended the forest that way, just straight across, and it kind of divides this area over here where the people are from where this lake is. And if you, I'll be actually back here in a bit, so we can go over it then. But if you just stop here for a second, you'll see that I changed how often you hear those goblin cackles. Well, there was one. But it's definitely not as bad as it was in the first video. I also added an attenuation setting to the goblin cackles. That way, when you're farther away from them, you don't hear them. Whereas in the first video, it wasn't nearly as decreased as it should have been. So now let's get into some of those features that I was telling you about. I did intend to make this a shorter video, but we'll see. So the first thing we come across is this guy right here. Now you see I walk into his radius. We got his name and the prompt to press E to interact with him. Also, you'll notice over his head, this little question mark symbol. That implies that this NPC here can assign you a quest. So let's go up and talk to him. So you'll see I hit E.
Hello, how may I serve you?
And we've moved into dialogue. We have a nice little fade to black. The character's movements are locked, but not his rotation. So with the VR helmet, you'll still be able to look around, but you won't be able to use the sword, you won't be able to use the mouse keys to move around. And we've basically focused the player in on here. This is where you're going to talk. Now, obviously, some of this dialogue widgets are going to have to change once we switch to VR, but for proof of concept, I had to get it up and going, and I like how it ended up turning out. So let's just run through the conversation here. I'll let you listen and see. I did get some voice acting done. There's 2 instances of voice acting right now. This one right here is me, but I've used some settings to modify the voice to sound like somebody completely different. Then I also got one of my friends to do some voice acting. I'm going to have a lot more. I'm really excited to get some more voice acting done. But let's just go ahead and get started listening to this right here.
I'm afraid we have a bit of a problem there. These woods are infested with goblins. They have given us problems for years, attacking villages in the night and stealing our supplies.
Now, something to notice is, and you can't actually see it because my camera is covering, over here in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little arrow that shows up whenever they finish talking, and you can press the spacebar or enter to move on to the next screen. At the same time, you can't see it either, but there's some text down here that says press space to skip. There's certain dialogue scenes that you can skip that you don't need to listen to, but you're just hearing it for the first time, so I'm not about to skip this.
At the moment, we're the only thing standing between them and your castle. If we ignore them now, we've left our home defenseless, and they're sure to hurt more of your people. I'm afraid most of my unit is too exhausted from the journey to handle this. We won't be ready to move until these menace are dealt with. This would be a fine opportunity to show off your skill in combat. Slay all the beasts that dwell in the woods.
Okay, so now you can see we have this one option here that has a little question mark symbol at it. That means that once we take that option, we accept the quest. So if you watch, oh, see it? Yeah, now we've got a little indicator that we're embarked on a quest. Let me take a minute here to look at this. So you can get rid of this and add it. Obviously in a VR setting, that won't exist just at all, but it is convenient to have right now. If we hit the J key, we pull up this little journal, and it's basically going to catalog all of our quests. Right now, we don't have anything failed or completed because we haven't done anything, so when we expand those, nothing happens. But when we take the current quests, we have this new quest that we just got, Goblin Assault. Quest is already started. Let's go ahead and follow it through. Now, if we try to talk to him again...
How goes the hunt? I can still hear their awful snarl. We can't leave until they've been eliminated.
That's all he's got to say to us now. So until we move farther into the quest, there's nothing else going on. So let's go kill some goblins. Now, you'll also notice I changed their idle animation in combat so that it doesn't look like they're just standing there pointlessly. Oh, there we go, got one. The side effect of that is that I need to reduce some of the animation because they seem to be stabbing themselves in the eye with their swords, but it's something I'm willing to live with at the moment because I got a lot of other things I have to work on. There we go. I made sure also to make it so it could hit on the backswing. There we go. Alright. Now I've just got 2 more. You'll also see that our health bar is regenerating. It regenerates very slowly. What I plan to do instead is to have food that the player can gather through that pond. And we'll get to that actually in just a little bit. I made these things actually kind of tough. Alright, so we're down to the last one. Aha. There we go. There's also another one roaming around here in the forest, but we don't need to kill it because he only asked for us to kill 5. I'll probably bump that up to 6. I actually added that in and forgot to change that in the quest, but we'll go back to it. So you see, our quest has been updated. We killed the goblins, and our next thing on the list is to return and talk to him again. You see that goal was updated in our journal. So let's go and talk.
Huzzah! My lord remains victorious. Your skill in combat has surely inspired morale.
It's so corny. I love it. Ah, did you hear that? That's a nice little sound we get whenever we complete a quest. So if we open back up our journal and go down to completed quests this time, you'll see that we've completed both goals. And we got some gold, but I'll get into that in a later video. I have no use for it at the moment. So now I want to take a look at this area over here. Right now we've got a little AI running around, and she's tending to the wounded soldiers. She'll go to her medical chest whenever she needs to refill on some supplies, but then she'll go and comfort them through praying or some kind of mending them. It's interesting. So she's our next quest person that I've begun working on. And the dialogue for her has also been voice acted, and one of my friends helped me out with that, and I'm very grateful, and I definitely am looking forward to getting some more voice acting in the game. So what we'll do right now is we'll go ahead and start talk to her and get the quest.
Greetings, my lord. I am overjoyed to see you again. Your presence greatly encourages the men. It's been a hard march, and I fear that many have been pushed to the brink of their lives. These before me are just a few of those affected. I fear many will not last the night. I know you're ready to storm, and my lady's safety is paramount, but these men need your help. They have suffered greatly over the long march. Your father's supply of medical equipment was plenty, but we simply can't feed the wounded. They'll need some kind of nutrition, or else they'll succumb to hunger. One of the scouts reported a large pond not far from here. You might search there for some fish. We shouldn't need much. If you can produce just 6 fish, we can make them go a long way. I know I had some fishing equipment laying around here somewhere. If you find it, it could probably help you.
Now, one of the things I do like about this actually is I made all of the no options to be kind of a little rude. So if you tell her no on some of these things when she asks for your help, you get a nice little just scuff where she's not happy with you. But let's talk to her again, and I'll skip through the dialogue this time and grab the quest at the end. All of these no options leads to that little scuff. I definitely liked that. Alright, now I accepted the quest, and we're good here. So again, if you talk to her after you've accepted the quest, you'll get a different line of dialogue. And she'll tell you again, just in case you're wandering around clueless or you can't. Well, in VR, you'll need her to tell you what you're doing, I guess. Now, there is a little something else here. I had an Easter egg with this in this character because She was the first voice acted character that I did, and we had some interesting recording sessions for that, and got some cool clips and sounds, and a couple interesting outtakes. But there was one specifically that I really enjoyed, so we put that in here. It's a very small chance. You have to talk to her after you've accepted the quest and after you've reconfirmed, I guess, what you're doing. There's like a 20% chance that you'll hit the Easter egg. So I'm gonna try and get that real quick just for the video. So you'll definitely see a lapse in time on this one because I'll probably have to try for a little bit. I'm not the most lucky when it comes to RNG.
I like cheese.
There we go. Okay, so I just wanted to work that in just because it happened to be a little interesting, and I like to work in Easter eggs wherever I can. So now the first thing of this quest is to get something to fish with. So this was part of a type of quest where you're looking for an item, or there's some kind of goal is to find an item. So she tells you to look near the medical chest, and if you just happen to look over here, you can see, well, that doesn't look like a harpoon because I couldn't actually get a model for one, but we're just going to pretend it is. So we've picked it up, and you see that the objective changed to go to the lake and catch some fish. So now that is as far as I've gotten for this progress video as far as this. The next thing I need to do, obviously, is make a resource skill kind of working, but it'll be very simplistic, and switching weapons to a harpoon and then stabbing. Well, I haven't gotten to that part yet. So we'll go over there in just a second. One other thing I did want to show is that this guy is chilling over here. Now, he's a different type of person for dialogue. Instead of just grabbing your attention and focusing you in on that specific part, his dialogue appears over his head, and it's not intrusive. You can keep playing and everything. And to go into a VR setting, it would probably have to redo all the dialogue to be like this, so it was part of the world. I'll just go ahead and...
I used to be an adventurer like you, but then Oh, sorry, I don't know where my head...
Alright, and that's another little Easter egg for the moment. I might hide that in there, or I might just make that the only thing he says. But as you can see, his text just appears in the world. It doesn't take over your screen.
Sorry, I don't know where my head...
And the last thing I want to look at would be the next place that you're supposed to go in the quest, but you can't actually do anything there because I haven't implemented that part yet. But if you remember from the first video, there was a pond over here. And now you can see I've turned the alpha level way down, so you can see straight through to the bottom. And not only do I think this provides a better aesthetic for the area, but I had to do this because... Alright, now where are you at? There we go. We have fishes swimming around here now. Although, you probably noticed, these are sharks. And while it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, that's the only thing I could do because that was the only models I could get. So, we're just going to accept it for what it is. So that was really all I wanted to show off for this progress video. It's been a lot of work to get a quest system fully implemented as well as a dialogue system. But now that all of that work is done behind the scenes, implementing a full quest is just as easy as scripting the dialogue and then recording it. The amount of time to actually make it appear in the game is kind of trivial now that I've got that up and going. So, looking to go forward, probably one of the next things that I'm going to be working on is a second area. So once you need to complete both of these quests in this area before you go on to the next area. I won't be designing that one from scratch like I have this one. Epic Games has provided some free assets that I plan to use for that map. It'll just save me a lot of time in the long run. That's been my most limiting factor so far, is just what I can do with the amount of time I have. So I figured showing myself working with one level to start with would be sufficient, and then moving on to something else. So that's all for this progress video. I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll stick around to see more to come. Thanks.